Welcome to episode number 125 of the On Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on Google Hangouts on air on January 10, 2016. We always start off with the worst stories that happened in the past week. We've been gone for 2 weeks, so maybe it's over the past 2 weeks that happened in communications. BL always has the honors, so BL was the worst story of the last 2 weeks.
Well, the worst story kind of happened last night when Rolling Stone published an interview that Sean Penn did with ElChapo. And apparently he interviewed him about a week before he was captured. And it's not a bad interview. And I don't have a problem with the fact that Sean Penn is not a journalist, because journalism has changed. And, you know, we're bloggers and we write about things, we interview people. I don't have an issue there. My issue is that Rolling Stone and Sean Penn gave the right of editorial approval in advance to ElChapo. So what you're writing is a puff piece. If you're giving the subject of your story the right to say, no, you can't say that, then it's not journalism. So a debate has happened online. And the funniest thing that came of it, really, is that Andy Borowitz, who I think is absolutely hilarious, he wrote in the New Yorker, the headline is ISIS chief abruptly canceled meeting with Sean Penn, and saying that Sean Penn's next interview is going to be with the head of ISIS, which, you know, obviously nobody has gotten. And so Deadline Hollywood neglected to notice that that was satirical and wrote an article saying Sean Penn's next interview is with the head of ISIS, and then a couple hours later had to retract it, say we misinterpreted it. We didn't realize Borowitz was a humorist.
The absurdity of the headlines these days, though, makes stuff entirely believable. I mean, The Onion's headlines are practically believable sometimes. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, there was one today with Donald Trump saying that people shouldn't disparage other people's religion. Donald Trump tweeted that. So I said, surely this is from The Onion.
God. Yeah, speaking of journalistic integrity, I watch MSNBC a lot for political coverage. I kind of long for the day when there was an objective third-party, unbiased news source, but there doesn't appear to be anywhere. Or so, you know, you got Fox News on the conservative right, and you got MSNBC on the liberal left. MSNBC recently, I mean, I guess over the past 2 months, has routinely been turning their broadcasts over to a live feed of Donald Trump rallies for like 10 minutes at a time. So that's one of my rants I was going to have this week. I actually went to look to see if anybody was complaining about that too. There is a couple of articles about people complaining about the same thing. There's a Mediaite article by Tommy Christopher that talks about basically the same thing. But what, you know, they're ostensibly the liberal outlet, yet they're giving free time to this ridiculous figure on the right. So I don't know. Go figure.
Well, they have a kind of checkered past and present with news lately. And
well, it's all about ratings. MSNBC is doing that for ratings. That's why the Rolling Stone gave carte blanche to ElChapo article. It's all about ratings and clicks, and
which is very distressing. You know, no two ways about it. And that is the reason that I'm such a big fan of Howard Rheingold and his insistence that before you spread things online, you vet them with 3 sources. You know, I mean, how many people do that before they pass stuff?
Nobody. It takes too much time.
Well, exactly. So people pass on all this crap, and you know, and so is it a surprise that journalists are doing it? No, I guess not. But on a much lighter note, Hasbro had a really big Star Wars fail. I saw Star Wars in 3D. Boy, was that fun. They had Star Wars Monopoly, and unfortunately, they left out Rey. And she's the main character in the movie. How could you leave her out? I mean, really? That's lame. So they said they had 2 Rebel, 2 Empire. They had Finn and Luke Skywalker on the light side. And Luke didn't even say anything in the movie. And Darth Vader wasn't even in the movie, and he was included. So, you know, unfortunately, Hasbro, Rey was in the trailer. So you're wrong. And they said they didn't actually know they didn't actually know that Rey was going to be in the movie. Really? She was in the trailer. So I think, like, there must not be a lot of people working at Hasbro who are female, because Hasbro cited the passion, aka anger and bewilderment, of Star Wars fans, and said they were making a running change to the game and Rey will be included. Like, how could they have left her out?
Well, no women, no Star Wars fans either, apparently. I mean,
Yeah, nobody who knew nothing about nothing.
oh my God. So I've been I've been talking about virtual reality on forever, like since we've been podcasting, and a
Yep.
big fan of the idea of virtual reality. There was a down to earth article though by the at the Telegraph by Rihanna Williams that cites it, basically says that less than 1% of computers are capable of running virtual reality. With this push of virtual reality headsets coming out for the holidays. Now let's define what virtual reality is. A lot of people are referring to the 360 videos where you can pan around in the video and see all around in the video as virtual reality. That's not virtual reality. That's immersive video. Virtual reality really is being completely surrounded in a virtual environment, video game type of environment. That's virtual reality properly defined, and that requires a lot of computing power to do it properly.
And
so
a
only around 13 million machines can run the required technology for the virtual reality headsets. That includes Oculus Rift and HTC's Vive, according to graphics chip maker NVIDIA. So this is obviously in NVIDIA's interest to point this out. But the the standard laptops run about 30 frames per second. You need 90 frames per second to properly use virtual reality. A common problem that plagues VR headsets is the latency of the imagery. So there's a delay between moving your head and then the pixels reassembling themselves on the scene. That can cause discord with your motion detection inner ear, and that's what causes the nausea that you often hear about that. So the lower the frame rate, the higher the chances for nausea. A lot of these computers aren't capable of running 360 video, so people buying these headsets may find that they're not having the best experience they can. I think VR properly defined is a little ways off yet, but I'm still a big fan of the idea.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg had a post about that, saying that Oculus Rift was they plan to be, are they giving them away or selling them, or what they're going to do with Facebook? But he was saying that people will not be able to take advantage of it yet. And that means we all need new computers, obviously.
and more powerful chips, more powerful graphics. Yep.
Really? So I think we're going to have an argument coming up right now about Twitter, right?
We may. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, Twitter is hinting that Tara Swisher and Kurt Wagner, Kurt Wagner actually had an article in Recode saying that the 140 character limit is is going away, and we may be going to 10,000 characters. And I'm saying, like, oh my God, we have enough bloated content on the internet already. The 140 characters is what makes Twitter Twitter. It forces people to consolidate their thought into something actually intelligible, and the quickness of it is what it is all about. We don't need, that's called Medium. We have Medium. We have Facebook, which is filled with acres and acres and acres of crap. There's crap everywhere. We don't need more crap on Twitter. Really?
So I am a fan of the 140 characters, of the way that Twitter works right now. I don't think it's broken. I don't think you need to fix it. But on the other hand, going long form content. So first of all, let's mention that the 10,000 character limit that they're talking about is the same thing, a limit of what they've expanded, I guess, in direct messaging. So right. You can do that now in direct messaging.
Getting those long messages is annoying.
Well, it's in keeping with what all the other social networks are doing. So Facebook has Notes. They've expanded that as a blogging platform because LinkedIn introduced their blogging platform. So people are taking advantage of that, and Twitter is just slow to that boat. They're just coming on board with that.
They have Medium.
But the point is, they don't have Medium. Medium's a separate category. That's another social network that does that. But the point is that people, getting people to publish content on their platforms, so you're not leaving their platforms, so that people are spending more time on Twitter. You got more ad space, more opportunities to sell ads. It's just it's in keeping with what everybody else is doing. So I'm not saying I like it, but I'm saying that makes perfect logical sense with where the market is going.
It makes sense for advertising. It does not make sense for the platform, and it is the only thing that makes Twitter unique. And if Twitter's not unique, frankly, who needs it?
Well, I mean, it depends on how they implement it. If Twitter doesn't look different, if it's 140 characters plus a button that says more that expands the whole thing, then I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. But also keep in mind that Twitter and Google have this deal in place where Google gets the fire hose for tweets. So 10,000 characters, that's a lot more content for Google to index. It might mean that you get a lot more opportunities for visibility and search when you're using the long form version of Twitter.
Well, what Jack Dorsey said in his long post about the change is that when people want to do something longer, what they do, and I do this, is they take an image of the words that they want to use and they use it as an image so that people can read it. I don't have a problem with that because you can read it or not read it, and I wouldn't have a problem, as you just said, if it's still 140 characters on Twitter so that we're just looking at a headline. I'm fine with that because then it's still Twitter. And unless, I mean, right now I click on links if I want to read more. So if I expanded the post, that wouldn't change my habit on Twitter. But, if we're going to see long posts, no, thank you, I'm gone.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think the Jack Dorsey's sort of justification is a bit spin there because not a lot of people do that. It's not like, oh, we're just giving it to people because everybody's doing it anyway.
Right, not a lot of people do it, but some of us do, and I do it pretty often, actually. So I saw this week what must have been a sign of dementia on the part of Donald Trump, and that would explain a lot about him. He denied that he'd ever played golf with Samuel Jackson, and so Daily Kos published a story showing him actually playing golf with him, and he said, and he was like, how he just like beats up on people, so he just said, well, Samuel Jackson makes too many commercials anyway, he's really boring. And then it turned out that not only did they play once, apparently they played several times, and he finally, having seen the pictures of himself actually playing with him, he said, oh yeah, he's not a bad golfer. Okay.
But I still didn't play golf with him.
Right.
Reality doesn't really matter.
He has his own reality. He's on his own planet. Now, the other thing that I came across this week that just made my hair curl, there's a dating site called Where White People Meet, and it's a dating site for white people only. And they say, well, there's J-Date and there's, Catholic date and there's senior date. Why shouldn't there be a white people date? Well, because that's a disgusting idea.
Yeah, I just don't even have anything for that.
What could you say? Like, how could you rationalize that? Does that bring us to good news?
It does indeed.
Oh, I'm happy. Okay, give us one of yours.
Well, let me start off by saying that the good news is you might have noticed in many past episodes of our podcast a sound of rustling paper. And I swear to God that when I talk, I don't routinely rustle paper while we're doing this podcast.
Going, David, mute yourself, David.
Exactly. We've been trying, and I've been searching high and low to find out why we've had this sound of rustling paper whenever I talk, and have come up with nothing. Nobody else has a solution for what it is.
No, but you did a lot of things. You put your microphone on a towel or your computer.
Yeah, we tried all kinds of different combinations to try and figure out what it was. Finally, last episode, BL pointed out that she hears it when I move my head. She hears the rustling when I move my head. So I ran this by a couple of people, and somebody pointed out that, so I've been using the Sennheiser headphone, and it has on it a microphone, which is an omnidirectional microphone. And what's been happening is the microphone has been brushing against my shirt, which is what caused the sound of rustling papers. So
you're so frustrated. Uh,
I've
but I bet
my,
the first one was expensive, right?
yeah. This is a nice, very very expensive headset that I got from work. So I figured it's really nice. I'll use it for the podcast. Didn't realize that that would happen. So I've got another Sennheiser headset that I'm using today, and the rustling sound is gone.
Gone
So
forever.
if you're a podcaster, you've been having that problem. That's why.
I think that's great. So we both have very similar headsets, and now we should be good without disturbances. So there's something that I thought was really quite wonderful, and that is the Hack Harassment Initiative. And the source is Kara Swisher on Facebook and Recode. And basically, she's saying we don't have all the answers by any means, but Intel and well, what's happened is that Intel and Recode and Vox Media and Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation, in an attempt to find ways to end the horrible harassment that happens on the internet to so many people, particularly women in tech, they're holding a series of hackathons to try and come up with anti-harassment technology solutions and ways to increase accountability. And they will be outcome driven and community led. And I think that's a really great force for positive change. And I look forward to seeing what they come up with.
Yeah, it looks like Twitter might be in on that as well. They had a update about updated their rules to combat abuse. This is from a Twitter post by Megan Christina. So Twitter is updating its rules to clarify what they consider to be abusive behavior and hateful conduct. They're emphasizing that they won't tolerate behavior intended to harass, intimidate, or use fear to silence another person's voice. They're creating mandatory actions for suspected abusive behavior to curb the abuse and help the community understand what's acceptable on their platform. So some of the mandatory actions can include locking accounts. So if you get your account locked because of this behavior, you have to go through a process of unlocking it. So it could be locked for a predefined period of time. You'd be asked to unlock it. You'd be asked to verify your account with a phone number, during which time you'd be reminded of their harassment policy, and then you may be asked to delete offending tweets. So the whole process is sort of claim your identity, let us know exactly who you are, which goes a long way towards combating abuse, because people abuse and harass people online anonymously.
And that's why they feel so comfortable doing it.
Exactly. So this brought up, I listened to an episode from earlier last year, January of 2015, from This American Life on online harassment. For an episode called "If You Don't Have Anything to Say, Say It All in Caps." It's an amazing example of the horrible aspects of online harassment, but also, well, it was about an online troll who attacked a feminist writer named Lindy West. The troll researched her online, found out that her father had died recently, created a Gmail and Twitter account in the name of her father, and used that to harass her. But then he came clean and he apologized. It's an amazing story. So gives you great insight into the online harassment. Then another story recently from about Barstool Sports, which is a website that sort of uses social media as a weapon. This was from a Sports Illustrated article by Nick Stellini, and it was pointed out to me by my buddy Steve Fox. Barstool Sports is a site that basically delights in harassing people online by sending their fans out to harass other people. They deliberately try and harass other people. So it's a problem. Check out those two stories. We'll have links to in the show notes. But the biggest thing is anonymity online. It's if you own your own content. This doesn't happen a lot on Facebook because people own their own identities on Facebook.
But this goes back a long way on the internet. It way predates Twitter, and some really, really horrible things have happened. And what often happens is that people are afraid to come to the aid of the person it's happening to because they're afraid they'll be next. But I will say that Twitter takes seriously your complaints, because I had to make one, and they do take them seriously, and they do investigate, and they do come back to you, and they do tell you what they think. And so this is a step up in the right direction. on the part of all of the participants. I think that's terrific. So on a far, far, far lighter note, I don't know how this escaped my purview up until now, but I've been watching Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link, and they are freaking hilarious. I mean, you can laugh your head off every single morning watching these two. They're just outrageous. I mean, completely outrageous. You know, they were doing this like what little kids do. Like, can you drink this? This is liver. You know, you have to have a liver shake. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to have a tuna fish and chocolate syrup shake. You know, and I mean, to the point where like till one of them throws up. But they do things equally that outrageous every day. So you really have to put them on your daily list because they're a riot.
Yeah, Rhett and Link are great. Great.
I love them.
FTC issued native advertising guidelines. This is from an article by Business Insider by Laura O'Reilly. Business Insider Intelligence predicts native spending on native ads in the U.S. will reach $10.7 billion this year. That's up from $7.9 billion last year. I mean, some of the biggest publishers online use native advertising, but of course there's criticism of native advertising. The basic criticism is it looks no different than editorial. So the FTC has released guidelines for native advertising. Jessica Rich, a director of the Bureau for Consumer Protection, said the FTC's policy applies a time-tested truth in advertising principles to modern media. People browsing the web, using social media, or watching videos have a right to know they're seeing editorial content or an ad. So their advice to from the guidelines is terms such as promoted story are ambiguous and could mislead consumers, that the ad is endorsed by the publisher. Instead, publishers should use words like ad, advertisement, paid advertisement, or sponsored advertising content. Promoted by, insert advertiser's name, or brought to you by, insert advertiser's name, or reasonable alternatives. The disclosure should be large and visible enough for people to notice them. They should take into account different screen sizes and color contrast. If a publisher's site reads left to right, like most websites do, consumers are less likely to notice disclosures that are positioned to the right of native advertising. So they're going through all the different aspects of native advertising and how people are kind of trying to skirt around the fact that it is paid advertising and addressing that. And it needs to be addressed because the advertising industry can't be trusted to not abuse native advertising. You look no further than ad block, the rise of ad blockers, to know that if they can get away with being unclear, they will. And publishers can't be trusted to do it either because this is their new golden goose. So they're going to milk it as much as they can. And so it's a good thing that the FTC is stepping in with some guidelines to say this is what you should be doing, because this is what you should be doing.
Unsurprisingly, the Internet Advertising Bureau took issue with these guidelines and doesn't want them to be instituted. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you. But I run sponsored posts and I identify them as sponsored posts. And I also do product reviews on my pet blog on Paw Fun with Benny and the Pets. And we review products that are given to us, and I always say these were given to us to test.
And it's not a problem. People
right.
don't. It's not an issue with people if they know it's being promoted, if they know it's sponsored advertising. It's good content, and it's still labeled obviously as sponsored content. It's not going to be ineffective.
Right.
It's going to be ineffective when the backlash occurs and I was duped.
Right. But I'll tell you, I mean, if I don't like a product that was given to me, I'm less likely to write about it than if I do. I mean, it's a pet blog. I try and keep things positive.
Yep,
but, on my news blog, I would say I hated it, and there's a reason why. But, when it comes to my dog and my cat, not so much. So you had a very funny
one last one.
page. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I have been doing some research on legal sites recently, and came across a Thomson-Reuters link that went to it was a broken link basically, so it went to the 404 error page for the Thomson-Reuters site, and the Thomson-Reuters 404 error page is very clever. We'll put a link to the image in the show notes, but it says at the top, the headline for the 404 error page is "Your motion has been denied." And it has a hammer and gavel. Perfect for a legal site. Very clever. It you know, coming up with with content not found is a frustrating experience. So the fact that they're using humor to alleviate that a little bit of that frustration is very clever and smart. So
I love when
like
they
that.
do that. I love that. So that brings us to shiny objects, and this is my favorite one of the week. It's by Rob Spector, and it's called the Trump filter. You can get it at trumpfilter.com, and it will remove all mentions of Donald Trump from your reading. And I'm honestly, I'm about ready to do that.
Yeah, it's not going to it's not going to remove all mentions of Donald Trump from my viewing habits, though, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, well, it won't. But the other one that we need is called 3030, and it's a time manager by Binary Hammer, and it'll remind you to do any number of things. You know, stand up every 20 minutes, take your pill, walk your dog, whatever. But it's definitely worth a look. And you have a bunch too.
Yeah, I do. So Hootsuite, I mean, a lot of people, this is old, but we haven't mentioned it. I did a review of Hootsuite on our agency's blog, and so I thought I'd talk about it. I use Hootsuite daily. We collaborate through Hootsuite for the Beyond Social Media Show Twitter account, and for the price, it's like $9.95 a month for the pro version, which allows you to collaborate with other people and gives you a bunch of other features than the free version does. But even the free version, you can manage 3 social media accounts, and for most people that's probably enough, and you can schedule posts and respond to people. It's got all the tools you need at a very good price. So I've been using it for years and recommend it highly, and we'll put a link to the review in the show notes. Facebook had their 2015 year in review, which is clever. I'm not going to go through all of it, but they had a bunch of topics. Top topics, not surprisingly, but well, I guess maybe surprisingly, Star Wars was the top topic, was the 4th of the top topics, which, considering when it came out, is pretty amazing because it did come out at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, that is amazing.
It is among the top movies. It is the top movie. The other, in the top movie categories, so Star Wars is number 1. Jurassic World was number 3, and Straight Outta Compton was number 6. The common denominator between those is great online marketing, because Jurassic World, I don't know that it did that well at the box office. Maybe it didn't, I don't remember. But they had that, remember we reviewed the Jurassic World mobile app where you could put a dinosaur in.
I still use that. I think that's hilarious, you know.
Yeah. And Straight Outta Compton had the Straight Outta app where you could say you're straight out of Chaska, Minnesota, like I am.
Right. Well, talking about straight out of the consumer show in Las Vegas is something that I just have to have. It's called the Movi, M-O-V-I camera, and it's a live streaming camera. Me want this. It's a pocket-sized camera, and it allows you to use your phone and edit on your phone in 9 different ways while you're recording, and you can pre-order it right now for $200. I'm seriously considering doing that. Oh, it is the cutest little thing.
Very cool, very cool.
And I don't have one. And I also came across, and I just like, I go and look at this whenever things get intense and I need a laugh. There's a Monty Python Ministry of Silly Walks app.
I saw that. I haven't tried it and downloaded it. I have to try it.
It's so
what does
funny.
It do?
It takes you, you go through different situations and you pick different silly walks. I mean, it's absolutely silly.
Classic episode of Monty Python in the Holy Grail.
It's great. I mean, he's going through all these like really hilarious.
Circus, yep. Yeah.
Really funny. So we have a project.
Yes, we do. So the Beyond Social Media Big Book of Shiny New Stuff. So this includes 51 of the best marketing tools, apps, resources, shiny new stuff that we talk about every week that we've covered during the past year. We'll update it quarterly. It's available only to newsletter subscribers. So if you want to get this big book of shiny new stuff all in one place, be sure you subscribe to the newsletter. Our current subscribers will get it with this next newsletter. But if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, do it now so that you can get the book. BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/newsletter is where you subscribe. Go ahead, go there right now and subscribe, and then we'll be sure that you get the quarterly updated book of shiny new stuff.
And you are going to be really sad if you don't have this, because we really did a lot of work to pick out the very best apps that we've talked about, because Dave and I are kind of app crazy. So, you know, I just got a new iPad and I realized that it had like 250 apps on it. And when I was looking at it and didn't know what half of them were, I said, you know, like, you really have to update these things by taking them off when you add new things if you're not using it. But anyway, we have the best ones. We have the ones that we do use, and you really do need our newsletter anyway, because it's different than any of the other ones you might be reading.
Absolutely. So let's wrap this up with daily numbers and top 10 tweeted New Year's resolutions. This is from Twitter, of course. Hashtag New Year's resolutions. The top resolutions for this year are: 1, get in shape. Yeah, I could do that. I think I'm in pretty good shape. I play football pretty regularly, but I can get in better shape, so that's good. 2, eat healthier. Yeah, I think I can do that. I could do better at that, so I'll put that on my list.
I'm good at that.
3, be a better person. BL, I think you and I are pretty good people.
We are, but we can always
work on that. I guess you can always try and be a better person, but yeah. 4, be nicer. Again, we're nice people. I don't know that we need to work on that, but yeah, I can always be nicer. 5, learn something new. Try and do that every day. So there's that. 6, drink more water.
Oh, I got to do that. I really got to do that. You know, I forget to drink my water. I mean, it's sitting right here and I still don't drink it. So.
7, be happy. Everybody should strive to be happy. Yes, I agree.
Working on that too.
8, quit smoking. Done. More than a decade ago.
20 years for me.
9, drink less alcohol. But anyway. 10,
I don't.
Yeah. Everybody wants to save some money. So there you go. The top New Year's resolutions for 2016. How many of those do you agree with? I agree with most of them, I think. So.
Well, I have a sign over my desk that I heard actually at a church. I went to church with a friend of mine, and the pastor was telling a story, and the woman in the story said, "Happiness is an act of defiance," and I have that sign right over my desk. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our first show of 2016.
It does indeed. Thanks for watching episode 125 of the Beyond Social Media Show. We'll have links to all of the things that we talked about at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/125. If you like the show, let us know and give us a review. You can do that. You can find out where to give us a review by going to BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/love, and you'll find links to our Twitter, or you'll find links to our
blog,
iTunes.
Oh, iTunes.
iTunes account and our Stitcher account, and maybe soon Google Play once they open those doors up. You can find me on Twitter at D. Erickson. My blog is e-strategyblog.com. I also blog at our agency's blog, creativepr.com/blog. BL you can find on Twitter at What's Next. Her blog is whatsnextblog.com. She is the grand poobah of maximum-plus.com, where you can hire her for all things online video marketing and events. And she, of course, writes for Ad Age as well. You can find us the show at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. We're on Twitter at BS Media Show. And again, sign up for the newsletter so you can get the big book of shiny new stuff. Sign up at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/newsletter. Until next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.